Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation. My name is Kusumajaya. The title of this paper is Design of Remote Biometric Authentication System to Access Public Services from Remote Area. Security concern. We now live in society where individuals cannot be trusted based on their ID document and PIN or password. Because of that, we even use multi-factor authentication for the rescue. What is multi-factor authentication? It consists what you know, what you have, and what you are. What you know, example is password, PIN number, and what you have, ID card, account, phone, and token. And what you are, something unique about your physical being. That is biometric. What is biometric? Biometric comes from the ancient Greek bios life and metron measure. Morris, 1875. Biometric is the science of establishing the identity of an individual based on the physical, chemical, or behavioral attributes of the person. Anil, 2008. Automated recognition of individual based on their behavioral and biological characteristics. ISO/IEC GTC1 2382-37 2012. Biometric in social welfare. Right now, e-commerce turned biometric to validate the software. Like Shopee or Tokopedia, it already use biometric for their validate e-software. Indian will need the identity number to receive benefit from more than 500 welfare scheme. Biometrics in Indonesia. Indonesian government has collected the resident biometrics in KTPL program since 2011. KTPL is not only used for identity purpose, but also used for people to access public services. Authentication of the person is conducted using a card reader or KTPL reader, which reads KTPL card and facilitates the fingerprint matching process between live scan fingerprint of KTPL holder and fingerprint stored inside the chip of the KTPL card. Okay, this diagram is the process on reader KTPL. It is already used the multi-factor authentication. It will mutual authentication the card. If the authenticated is success, it will move to another step. That is what you have. The step after the authenticated is matching the biometric fingerprint chip and the live finger. If matched, then the reader will display the data, who you are. The problem. The use of reader are limited to the institution that registered to the Ministry of Home Affairs, MOHA, which issue secure access module, SAM, to activate the reader. So if the reader not have the SAM, it cannot read the KTPL. The second one is the cost of KTPL reader is not affordable and practical for people for use in individual. Remote biometric authentication. Maximize the benefit of KTPL card in the digital era for people to access public service remotely. Secure online remote authentication alternative with respect to current practice of authenticating KTPL card using KTPL reader only in offline mode. Proposed system. It consists on client and server. This one is client and this one is server. The client is a smartphone connected with fingerprint scanner. The client will send the image to middleware, and middleware will send the image to Miniature Extractor, and the result is minutia template that will send back to the middleware, and the middleware will send back to the search engine. And the result is the number of the person if match, and will send back to the client. Nah, experimental. The identity of the resident were already enrolled and stored in the server. The number of people enrolled, their finger was 22%. 15% were male and 7% were female. The fingerprint is scanned via smartphone. We use Futronic FS88 connected to the smartphone with OTG. The resolution of the sensor was 500 ppi, and the size of image was 322 480 pixels. The result. This one is the distribution of the score. We can see there are two non-match. The matching threshold we use by the server office was 25. Two fingers are matched if the matching score exceeds the 25. As the result, 20 out of 22% were correctly authenticated, and 2 was rejected. The average time of person authentication was 8.08 seconds. Most people obtain matching score which has higher than 40 with the maximum value of 161.8. 2% have zero matching score, indicate the value. So if the score under 25, it will have 0. So the matching will fail. Conclusion. We propose remote biometric authentication as a method to access subsidy or public services. The system needs a smartphone with biometric for authentication, public service provider, and a biometric by identity service that serve the biometric authentication. We evaluate the performance of the system using fingerprint gate with separate fingerprint scanner. As a result, we successfully authenticate 20 of 22%. Thank you.
Now we do have some questions. So far we have 4 questions, and maybe I will have to choose. I think a question from William. Will the system be available in the rural areas or remote areas? I think Pak Anto has mentioned something about that. And then I will read it again, Pak Anto, and Pak Anto can also check the questions. And also from Pak James, could you please explain more the back-end server side? And yeah, I think we can combine Mr. Pak James' questions and Alvin questions. Is about the is it already connected to a database? So I think that's part of the backend side. And the last one is there any example of using biometric scanning other than fingerprint and eye scan? I believe what eye scan means the iris scan. I think maybe some other, maybe voice or other things. Thank you,
Yeah.
Panto. Yeah.
I think I try to answer the equations because from the last questions, besides the fingerprints, we also can use the face and iris. So iris and also fingerprints and face actually can be used remotely for authentications to connect to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Also, is fingerprint scanner already connected to database? Fingerprint scanner is not connected to the database. In our experiment, fingerprint scanner should be connected to smartphone. The smartphone make a contact with Ministry of Home Affairs, and we'll make authentications between the image scan from image sent from the smartphone with the data in the Ministry of Home Affairs. The backside backend of server side. Actually, it belongs to Ministry of Home Affairs. But in our experiments, we use simple server for implementations. There is a server middleware to make a communication between the smartphone and the database, and also there is two service for fingerprint manusia extractor and fingerprint matchings. So this service is part of the backend server side, because in the client side it works only to scan our fingerprint and send the image to the backend server side.
Okay, thank you, Panto. I think that should answer the question. So no fingerprint is being stored by the system. All the fingerprints or the biometrics data are in the Ministry of Home Affairs server, and then the architecture is the team will use, the application will use data scan from the mobile phone, and then do some confirmation or validation by connecting, by contacting the database in the Ministry of Home Affairs. I think that's the standard. Yeah, it has been answered. Another question from Pa James: do you encrypt the data sent from smartphones to backend server? Yes, it is encrypted, and no data are being stored, I believe, because that is part of the privacy that has to be maintained, I think. Okay, I think because time limitation, I will have to conclude the first presenter. Thank you, Pak Anto, and all the team member for a very interesting work. I hope that in the future this can be implemented nationally. Okay, thank you again.